My dear sisters and brothers, you probably remember last week I mentioned a few hadith, sayings of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and one of them under the title or category from the authentic collection of Al-Bukhari, Sahih Al-Bukhari, and the title was Al-Fitan التي يموج بعضها ببعض. And I translated that as the seditions that move into each other like waves move into each other, without the ability to separate between one wave and the other. And subhanallah, we were looking west, trying to cope with what happened on Parliament Hill, only to find that this week we had to turn east to again pay attention to an ongoing major threat to Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa. And we, in this instance, as people, as Muslims, as concerned human beings, are left with the powerful tool of dua. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to stand with those who are being oppressed, with those who are being dealt a blow through the third most sacred of our places of worship. And I will come back to Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa in the second khutbah. But I would like to just give a kind of ray of hope and happiness, although it may not be related to the seditions and the difficulties. But again, when you are hyperventilating with concern, you need sometimes to feel that the oxygen is reaching where it's supposed to reach. We were delighted last week to find that our council now has 11 young people, and 2 of them are with us today. I would like from the minbar to extend our congratulatory remarks to Muhammad Saleh and Jared Zeifman for representing us as young, energetic people to bring something new to our city. Back to something that everybody is still talking about. What happened in Quebec and on Parliament Hill. And I'm not going to repeat what everybody knows. But everyone in the Islamic leadership across the country are exchanging thoughts on the phenomenon of what they call conversion or reversion to Islam, because many theories have been advanced as to why these things are happening and how vulnerable new Muslims are to catching radicalized extremist ideas and put them to practice in a way that is totally un-Islamic. Everybody is advancing theories. Everybody is saying things that some are agreeing with, some are not agreeing with. And I know that there are quite a few new Muslims in this congregation today and every day at the center, at the masjid, at other places of worship in London and outside of London. And let me just mention that out of my personal experience, I identify three categories of people who accept Islam and become new Muslims. The first category is the category under the title of marriage. Two individuals, one of them happened to be Muslim, meet another person, they want to get married, and they accept the fact that one of them has to come to Islam. So that person accepts Islam for the purpose of marriage. Now, sometimes that may move forward and this acceptance of Islam becomes quite deeply rooted in the right passage, and they accept Islam properly after initially making the move simply because of the other person. That's one category. But unfortunately, the majority of those who accept Islam because of marriage stay as far away from Islam as you can imagine, because usually, and don't get upset with me, those who meet the others to start with are far from Islam. So when they meet another person and the parents require that this person accepts Islam, it becomes a nominal acceptance of Islam. And I leave the rest up to your imagination to know how diluted that form of Islam is. The second form is that form where a person researches Islam, studies Islam, and meets Muslims to learn more about Islam, and once that person feels strong in their faith, they make that move. And I have a few sitting right here whom we are very proud of. And we do have an outreach committee that has its principles, its rules, its procedure to help such people and others, mind you. The third category is of those people who are leading a very difficult life. And they are searching for anything to get out of their struggle, of their difficulties, of their problems. And sometimes these problems are mentally related. They do have problems and they want to run away. And quite often, running away from their problems requires that they get as far from their problems as they can. So they search for something exotic, something so different, something that they will identify with, to look from that distance at the situation they were in, and they will say, we'll show you what you did to us, we're going to revenge. And that's what happens for people who actually are not satisfied with accepting Islam, but they are saying, please tell me how I can become an extremist in my views, in my practice of Islam. And these are the people who are targeted by those who cannot come to this part of the Atlantic, so they want to search for those vulnerable targets and say, you do our work on our behalf. And this is what's been happening. And I would like to jump now from this part of the khutbah very quickly and say that the worst mistake we make as Muslims or as human beings in general is that we judge things on the surface. Any person who walks in and says, I would like to become a Muslim, excites us. Remember, don't lose my point of saying there are three categories. Don't say I'm generalizing now. Many of those people who walk in are genuine, and we have to help them. But what we've been doing as a Muslim community is that we get excited so quickly. And we do takbir, Allahu Akbar, and we come and we squeeze that person. and we hug them, and we kiss them, and then we forget about them. And now we don't know what's happening to them, except for those people that our outreach committee is taking care of. But there are many who are lost in the crowd. Some of them are genuine, but when they find themselves lost, they just basically continue, and they may drift back to where they came from. And this is the worst mistake we are making. We cannot judge people just on the surface. I'm sorry to say that we as Muslims are so judgmental. We love to judge others. We love to judge others. And I want to tell you two stories. One of them I told on my Facebook page when I was in Hajj. And I'd like to repeat it, even though some of you might have read it. I was praying Isha at Al-Masjid Al-Haram in Mecca. And next to me was a person, when my peripheral vision caught hold of what he was doing after the second rak'ah, when we sat down for at-tashahhud, I noticed that he was making tashahhud with his left hand and left finger. And I was surprised. But very quickly, I discovered the reason why he was doing that. And he did the same thing, obviously, after the fourth rak'ah. And immediately after we finished taslim, the person sitting on his left was very quick to look at him and scold him and tell him how misguided he was. How could you make tashahhud with your left finger? Don't you know any better? Only for that person who did that to respond with a move. All he did is he moved his body towards him to show him that his arm was amputated. Immediately, that person stopped talking, and he didn't know what to say. He did not even have the ability to apologize. He was absorbed with shame, with a feeling of, how dare I pass a quick judgment? I wish I had not done that. But I'm mentioning this, and I mentioned it immediately after I saw that. For me, I could see with my peripheral vision that he could not, because I could see that. But that person passed his judgment. That's one story. Another story was at Al-Masjid Al-Nabawi in Medina. It was my first Jumu'ah prayer at Al-Masjid Al-Nabawi. And it was extremely crowded. You could not even walk. And we finished Salat. And then I prayed my 2 raka'at sunnah. And I did my dua. And I made my dhikr. And then I stood up to leave. I looked around me and I found that there was no way I could walk, because there were people who were praying and I could not intercept their path. So I stood. Immediately, I was yelled at. Someone who was sitting close, he said, how could you waste your time standing? Sit back and do more nafil and get that opportunity. And it was not a nasiha that I could smile at, but I did. But someone gave himself the right to look at me and yell at me and tell me what I was supposed to do. Passed a judgment that I did not want, when my heart was saying I want to get every opportunity to do everything I can. But I had stood and I decided in my best judgment that I'm going to wait and then leave. Subhanallah, another judgment. We are very quick to judge. And I want to share with you 3 very quick stories to show us that we need to change this behavior. We need to change this attitude. We need to learn our Islam. You know, unfortunately, we are practicing whatever is filtered to us about Islam. We are not putting the effort to study our Islam to behave accordingly. The Quran says, إِلَى اللَّهِ مَرْجِعُكُمْ جَمِيعًا فَيَحْكُمُ بَيْنَكُمْ فِيمَا كُنْتُمْ فِيهِ تَخْتَلِفُونَ. All of you are going to return to Allah, and He is the one to make judgment among you concerning that you disagreed about therein. I may see something. Let me give you the benefit of the doubt. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ told us, give your brother 70 possible excuses before you pass a judgment, which means don't pass a judgment. When he's telling us, give him 70 excuses. اعط لأخيك 70 عذرا. 70. Don't pass a judgment. At the Battle of Uhud, and I want to just very quickly mention these anecdotes. And you know, the Battle of Uhud is a volume of Islamic teachings that we need to study. We need to teach our children so that they will correct our mistakes. I did not have a slip of the tongue. I did not say we correct their mistakes. I said so that they can correct our mistakes. Yesterday I was sitting with a young Muslim whom I'm very proud of. He said, Ammo, our parents gave us a very distorted image of Islam. And we cannot allow that to be absorbed without doing something ourselves. And you know, that gave me another ray of hope. Because we handed over something which is, even if you will get upset with me, it's okay. Because this is the reality. This is the truth. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, after the Battle of Uhud was over, he sent Zayd bin Thabit and others to look at the injured and those who were martyred. Among those who were injured but they were breathing their last was someone called Al-Usayram. Al-Usayram, his real name is Amr bin Thabit. Now the group that came and looked at him, they asked him, he was breathing his last. They said, what brought you here? All the time we asked you to accept Islam, you refused. You even said the worst things about Islam. In Medina, he was from the people of Medina. What brought you here? He told them, he said, Allah wa Rasuluhu. Allah and His Messenger brought me here. I thought about it and I came and I fought to defend Islam and Muslims against the danger. And this is what happened to me, and I'm very happy that this happened to me. And then he breathed his last. When his story was related to Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he said, Huwa fil Jannah. He is in Jannah. Abu Hurairah added to this anecdote, وَهُوَ لَمْ يُصَلِّ فِي حَيَاتِهِ صَلَاةً قَطْ. Al-Usayram, Amr bin Thabit, did not pray a single prayer in his life. Yet Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said that he is in Jannah. He was genuine. But the people who came and looked at him, the first thing they said to him, what brought you here? What brought you here? They were surprised. But Prophet Muhammad ﷺ told them, don't judge things by the surface. Another person called Qazman. Qazman was from Medina. And he himself had killed 8 people of the mushrikeen. Everybody noticed his bravery and chivalry during the battle. And they said, subhanAllah, look what he's doing. Look what he's doing. 8 people himself. And they came and they found him in the same state. He was hyperventilating. He was injured. They said, good for you. You are going now to face martyrdom and then go to Jannah. He stopped them. He intercepted them. He said, listen, I did not do what I did except to defend my ashira, my family. I did this because I did not want anything to happen to my ashira, to my extended family. He was not defending Islam, but he was defending his nationality. He was defending his ethnic belonging. He was doing something not for the sake of Islam, not for the sake of God, but for the sake of that false identity. And Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, every time they would tell him about Qazman, he would say, huwa fin nar, because he did not do what he did for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the third anecdote was about a Jew from Bani Tha'laba. Bani Tha'laba, which is a subgroup of Bani Qurayza. This person asked the Jews of Bani Qurayza of Medina to come. We need to defend Medina. They refused. So he went on his own and he fought in the ranks of the Muslims. And he even said, if I get killed, then all my wealth should go to the Muslims to help them defend this deen. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ described this person as the best of the Jews. That this person had a soft heart that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loved. He did not say whether he's in Jannah or not, but he said he had a soft heart. Allah loves his heart. Now, did Prophet Muhammad ﷺ say that he's a Jew? I'm not going to talk good about him. No. He said what needed to be said. And this shows, all these 3 anecdotes show that Prophet Muhammad ﷺ wanted us to judge people below the surface if there was a need for that. And most of the time there's no need to judge others. Leave the judgment in al-hukmu illa lillah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, in al-hukmu illa adat istithna, meaning that the final judgment belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't judge others. But he did what? Don't judge others. Don't. And if you don't understand something, come and ask for clarification. Come and ask for clarification. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله العظيم لي ولكم فيا فوز المستغفرين. Make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He will accept our dua. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. الحمد لله وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. My dear brothers and sisters, one thing I would like to leave with the administrators of our center, to cooperate with the administrators of the masjid. Because this is one community. It doesn't matter if there's a place of worship on Oxford, and another one on Pond Mills, and another one on Wellington, and another one on... It doesn't matter. We are one community. And when a new Muslim accepts Islam, he needs guidance to fit into this community. And I'd like to suggest to the administrators to strengthen the resources of the outreach committee, to help this committee to identify adoptive families in our community, so that every new Muslim will have a placement in an adoptive Ansar family, so that whenever a new Muslim comes, we will look for a suitable family and say, you help that person. And I say suitable. Suitable. We need to screen families. The same as when the CAS, Children's Aid Society, when they screen families to see if they fit to receive foster children. We need to do the same thing. And that requires resources to be placed with the outreach committee to help them to do that, so that we can register with the outreach committee as adoptive families to help integrate new Muslims. And we have some new old Muslims who have been Muslims for ages. We need to learn from their experiences, what difficulties they face, how they can be dealt with. We need to live our Islam, not only to pay respect or to pay homage or to do something on Friday, or sometimes an evening we come and pray Isha. Our Islam is something that is being challenged. And you know something, now I go back, or I should move forward to Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa, which I tell you that the way that Islam is being attacked is by different targets. And when everything fits together, then it will coalesce into one big disaster. There's no separation between burning of Muslims alive in Myanmar and what is happening to Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa, or whatever is happening to the Muslims in Al-Anbar, or whatever is happening in Syria, or whatever is happening in Gaza, or whatever is happening in Canada on Parliament Hill. Tell me if you did not notice that as of late, 3/4 of the newscast is about things related to Islam and Muslims. And what are we doing? Yes, we got very excited that Muhammad Saleh now got elected in Ward 3. But let me see what we're going to do to help Muhammad Saleh and Jared Zeifman, in whose ward we are located as an Islamic center. He is coming to us, and both of them are going to say something after the prayer. But how are we going to use this opportunity to charge Muhammad and Jared with responsibilities and requirements and say, this is what we need, this is what we want you to carry to the chambers? The same as we will do when the provincial elections and the federal elections take place. Let us celebrate our Canadian living. Let us really give this month of Al-Muharram what it's supposed to be. It's a new beginning. It's a new beginning. You know, don't forget to fast this coming Sunday and Monday, or Saturday and Sunday, or, you know, it's the 9th and the 10th, or the 10th and the 11th, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. But do fast and make the niyyah to make a new beginning. A new beginning. Don't be, and I say this, I know that some of you will say, oops, he destroyed everything he said today. But I will say it. Make it a new beginning to re-establish dialogue between Sunnis and Shia. Because Islam is one. There's no separation. But please note that they used out of this historical tension between Sunnis and Shia as a pretext to implode Islam from within. There are many Shias now, if you say the word Sunni, they faint. And there are many Sunnis, whenever you say the word Shia, they say you are not a Muslim. Because they put in our mind this understanding that we are, yes, there are, yes. You can point to me on what's on YouTube. And what, these are the examples that can be orchestrated or exposed to say, look, this is what they say. But these are very few. Don't let them weaken our ranks. Already, not only Shia and Sunni, but now among the Sunnis there are these and these, and among these there are these and these, until we are غُثَاءٌ كَغُثَاءِ السَّيْلِ. While Al-Aqsa is saying it could be a few days when I may fall, because now there's absolutely nothing underneath the foundations of Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa. And we are watching. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم اغفر لنا ذنوبنا وخطايانا وإسرافنا في أمرنا وكفر عنا سيئاتنا. اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه. اللهم علمنا من ديننا ما جهلنا وذكرنا منه ما نسينا وكن معنا ولا تكن علينا. اللهم نسألك بقدرتك أن تحمي المسجد الأقصى يا رب العالمين من كيد الغاصبين الصهاينة الغاشمين. اللهم نسألك بقدرتك يا رب العالمين أن تحمي المسجد الأقصى، أن تقف مع المسلمين الفلسطينيين الذين يدافعون عنه بالحجارة. اللهم كن معهم ولا تكن عليهم. اللهم حبب إلينا الإيمان وزينه في قلوبنا وكره إلينا الكفر والفسوق والعصيان واجعلنا من الراشدين. عباد الله، إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله العظيم يذكركم وادعوه يستجب لكم ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون. الله أكبر.